Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
We're here.
That's what
We,
I'm
we've
talking about.
arrived. The
We've
party has
arrived.
officially started.
We've arrived. Are you wearing Canadian Goose, by the way? Canadian.
How did you? No.
Oh, I was gonna say,
No,
yo,
this is Joe Whistler, but still.
that's crazy. That's
How
crazy.
did you?
Amir Royale,
What's
what's
up, bro?
going on, fam?
What's up, bro?
Dude, it's good to talk. It's been a minute. We last time we obviously chatted, I was in New York, so
Yeah, yeah.
this has been a minute. It's been a
I
minute.
miss you here, bro. You
But you
need
know
to
what?
come
You
back.
reached out to me with something really interesting a couple weeks ago, and an opportunity presented itself to right. Well, it's out now. It's out.
It's officially out.
We,
It's
we
officially.
want we want people talking about it now. Stories of the lost, rich, and tormented, and it's a good listen. I enjoyed listening to it, and like I said, your streams were coming from Detroit this weekend because I've been playing it a lot, but it's been
I
good.
appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that, bro.
We have to talk, so we're gonna talk about it. But first, how you been, man?
I've been good, man. I've been good, man. I'm just still here in Queens, still here in St. Albans, taking care of my grandmother, taking care
Good,
of my dad, just working, steady working, still acting, still doing music, still doing film. Um,
good.
you know, trying to be as happy as possible day to day.
That's
That's
not
like,
always easy, dude. That's so much. You know what I've realized for me, and like it's not even about being happy anymore. It's just okay, how can I be content?
yes. Oh, that's really the perfect word for it because
Right.
I I mean I love talking about it as content because content of making stuff so much all the
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
often infringes on happiness and peace. And that's
Yeah.
such an interesting thing to be able to be content. And
Right.
constantly I have new stuff coming out all the time now. Like I've it took me a very long time to turn 24 and be comfortable. I have not been comfortable and that's
Well, can you argue that like not being comfortable in your 20s is probably the best place to be?
I'd
Right?
agree. I'd agree. I'd agree. Well,
Where
yeah, the
music
more
like this
uncomfortable
comes
I am,
from. I mean, that's where music like this comes from,
it does.
because I'm not gonna lie, right? Listening to this
Mhm.
was almost like uncomfortable, right? But in like a good way, and I'll tell you why. Because the songs are so different, track to track. You know what I mean? You almost like you bring us in like okay, so that very first song, we're gonna listen to some of this.
For
You're
sure.
gonna you're gonna bless us with some of this,
For
with
sure.
some commentary here. But like that first song, God Prayers Up. And when you bring us into this album or this EP, I should say, and you bring us in real slow, and I feel so comforted in that like opening in that opening in that opening sample
Yeah, sure.
that you used with. So I think that like from Crawl and then Diamonds is so different than Going Under. Like you bring us in and out of this comfort zone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree. I agree. I agree. I agree. Yeah, it's something that I thought long and hard. I mean, we'll get into the conversation of it, but I thought long and hard about the track list for this, the way that I wanted this to be structured. I had a lot of people and a lot of voices try to tell me what should be on here and what shouldn't be on here. I had a lot of people tell me how it didn't work. I had other people tell me how it did work.
Mhm.
There was a lot of labor that came into this finally being available for people to even hear, and I'm relieved to even have it.
Yeah,
Like, speaking of peace, that's just such a peaceful thing that I'm like, I can let go of this project, and now whatever people want to feel about it, now they can feel because it's the way that I always saw it. It's the way that I always heard it.
right.
Um, there's still more to come involved with it, but it's the package that it's in is a color I like. The package that it's in is like it came on time and like no delivery man messed up my order. Like it's
Yeah,
exact fries with the perfect amount of salt. Like it's the drink with the ice. Like it's
yeah,
everything is perfect here.
yeah.
For me, and that's a very comforting feeling because, like I said, there's so many things that held back this project and has held back many of my projects over the years. So I'm happy to finally have this out. Yeah, yeah,
I love that. And now and that's a great intro to it. Now we can talk about it.
yeah, for sure, for sure,
God Prayers Up. Can you play the intro for us?
for sure. Let's get into it.
Let's hear it. As it's kind of coming in here, like I'll say, like this is such a fast time of year, the holidays, and this sample almost I kind of felt like it like slowed time down for me a little bit, you know?
I always imagine this coming out in December for this reason.
No, it's like it's such a
I
like I
always
was
imagine it for this reason.
it's crazy. I was listening in my car today and I was like, you know what? It's such a fast time of year. This sample, like it slows time down a little bit for me. Or at least it feels like that, you know?
For sure, for sure. Yeah. All right, here we go.
Let's go. Such a cool way to begin. See?
Vinyl on it. This is my favorite part. That's my girlfriend.
Gotta listen to that. Hold up. Did you flip this? Yes, he says. I did. 180. See? Been out of comfort zone.
You might be a goddamn. Fucking man, I cannot say we are friends. Put in too much time to do it again. My girl had Beyonce. Your
right.
bitch look like Chauncey. Need to get your bills up.
Crazy. Like you're on your you come in so talk about the opening line. You come in so mean. like
I'm sorry. I apologize in advance.
yeah, you're like yeah, like people are asking me who you're speaking with tonight. I'm like, my boy Amir is the nicest dude. Here you are. So what's up? Talk about it.
It's so for context, right? I made this project, funny enough, back in 2017. That's when it started. There was a class that I had with my beloved close friend and mentor now, Aaron Kanata of Cove City Sound Studios out here in Long Island, New York, of Warner Chapel Music and Facet House out in Los Angeles, where he and his wife and his two incredibly beautiful boys live. Aaron was my songwriting teacher at NYU during my sophomore year. There was a class that we had called Writing the Hit Song, Deep Cuts. Writing the Hit Song had 4 different places. You could be in bridge, you could be in deep cuts, you could be in eclectic, or you could be in top 40. Aaron oversaw the process of how students would end up in this class and in its sections specifically. And he would listen to a person's records. You'd send stuff in. Your first 10 seconds, you already knew where you were. And so I ended up in deep cuts, which the way that Aaron used to describe deep cuts was like, all right, like the people, and this was really crazy because I completely agree. I remember him talking about first class was like bass vocal. You like make a record, only have bass, and then put a vocal on it. And lo and behold, little bit into the year, all of a sudden Billie Eilish blew up, and all of her album was bass vocal stuff. It was like this dude was a prophet. He like genuinely is a prophet, and I to this day I don't understand how he's such a genius because he's just out of this world.
You know what's crazy? Hold on, real quick. You know what's crazy?
No worries.
When I was trying to be an artist, I bought like a really cheap microphone at Guitar Center for like $80. Found years later that Billie Eilish, that first album that like kind of was like her big album or whatever, she recorded it on the same microphone that I had when I was trying to become a rapper. So basically I shouldn't have given up.
Because you never should give up. You can't give up in this game. It's something that like
the artist life was just not for me. But
if it fuels you, you would never be able to give up anyway because you wouldn't be able to stay sane without it.
Yeah, exactly. I need this. I need this like you need music too. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Because it's like
once
it's
you
just one
find
of
the
those
right
things
lane,
you find
once
your
you
thing.
find the right lane for yourself, it's game over after that.
Yeah,
You know, because once you find something that you really care about and love, it's game over.
yeah, it's catastrophic. It's immediately you can wreck anything in your path because it's
Right.
like nothing can touch you. You're
Right.
invincible.
But I will say, same mic as Billie Eilish, so I was basically there.
So you're there.
That's
You still
basically
are. You still are. Look at where we are. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but that's the thing. The originally this all of these songs out the gate came out of 14 weeks. Every week I wrote a song.
Yeah.
And at the end of it all, Aaron was like, aha, surprise, surprise, turn this into an EP.
Yeah.
And I always had a sense, all the stuff that I was writing throughout that 14 weeks was very connected to the fact that I was in a very turbulent relationship at the time. Classes in general were crazy for me. I was like, my grades were up and down, up and down. Life in general, there was a lot of things happening to me in 2017 that, like, in my youth, I could not understand.
Yeah.
And all of that bled into the production style. It bled into the lyricism. So when this came out, like this opener of just upset, God Prayers Up was a record where it was like, all right, you got to make something, and you have to flip a sample. Basically, you have to use a sample of something and invert it and turn it into a new record idea. I had messed around with samples before. I had always wanted to like flip They Say It's Wonderful by Irving Berlin. I always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
What I didn't expect was that my favorite version of They Say It's Wonderful is Kirsten Dunst in Spider-Man 3. When at the top of the movie, when she's singing They Say It's Wonderful, and Peter Parker's there between two random white dudes and goes, that's my girlfriend. That is my favorite
version. No way.
Yeah, with Harry Osborn like looking down on them all like sinisterly. I didn't know that was my favorite rendition of this song in context. And so that anger that, you know, we're not friends anymore. Like, I don't need anyone anymore. Part of it was me speaking to the person that I was with at the time. Part of it was me speaking to people that were naysayers in my life at the time. And part of it was like, my girl was half Beyonce. My ex-girl was half Beyonce. Like, that was beyond, like, anybody who, you can Google her. If you find her, I'm not going to say her name, but if you go and find her, you'd be like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, you're completely correct. And at the same time, this hip hop thing, this music thing is my Beyonce. And your bitch looks like Chauncey. Get your bills up, Chauncey Billups. Yep. I always wanted to find a way to.
That's a great line.
My verses, but here we are. Here we are. A lot of that anger just came from where I was, and when I tell you I wasn't the happiest, like, I really wasn't the happiest. It's just what it was.
Yeah,
it's just
that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah,
you know, like that's where music like this comes from. Like we were just saying.
Yep.
Crawl is such a stark difference.
Yes.
From honestly from the rest of the whole project. You know, like for me, Crawl was kind of like the awkward cousin, but like it still makes sense that it's there. You know, talk about Crawl.
Crawl was a record where Aaron had given us a prompt to write a story. We had to come up with a story, and I came up with this idea for a young woman of color working in a coal mine. She's surrounded by all these men, but somehow she got this job, and she's trying to hold down this job because it's the only thing that is paying her well enough to be able to take care of her life, herself, maybe her kids, whatever's going on. And one day, because all of the work conditions in this situation were not healthy, somehow the coal mine catches on fire and she dies inside of it. That idea immediately came from, I was during this time, 2017 was, I had a mixtape out called Atmospheric. I was working on a lot of dancey, R&B-ish, Quincy Jones, Michael Jackson kind of, David Bowie, very stuff. And as soon as I kind of like got given that prompt and went into the studio and started coming up with the drum pocket, I just felt dancey. It came out very easily, and the lyrics just kind of flowed after that. And two of my really great homies, Austin Brenner and Joshua Zong, who both graduated with me in 2020 from NYU and Clive Davis Institute. Josh, that running through the air tonight, he had came up with that idea. And while I had finished producing, I kept talking to Austin like, yo, each of these sections, the Coco got chocolate, I like started each verse like that, but I didn't know whether it was a pre-hook. I didn't know whether it was a chorus. Like there was so many different ideas, and I kept coming to Austin, like freaking out, like, yo, what's the best way to do it? And he gave the arrangement and structure to it. Josh lent that really beautiful post-chorus, and the rest of it was just me wilding out in my room, finding like samples of like Cole, like miners and like chain gangs hitting like stones and stuff, and like putting that in the production, and just like bugging out as I usually do.
Right. No, this is because you strike me more as like more as a producer than you do a rapper. I think your production, and at least, in my opinion of knowing you, production first.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. I've always been very I would say, this is such an interesting, I really appreciate that compliment, because I never look at myself as a producer first. I never looked at myself as a rapper first. Often I'm an actor first. That's kind of like my first thing. And it's so interesting to me because I think intrinsically I don't really know how to enter a song unless I know where the rhythmic pocket is. If I can find like the chordal structures and the sound design of the pads and guitar lines and piano line, like I need all of that stuff to be able to even find the lyricism.
You need chaos in order to
to order it all. And I enjoy
chaos to be organized.
I extremely enjoy that process of like running. And somebody asked me the other day, like, hey, so like actually an animator for a new song that I'm working on, he was like, what's your process like? And I tell people all the time, like, my process is changing weekly, day to day, like it's never the same. But
that process question is like,
it's a crazy, but it's interesting because I would say that the older that I've gotten, it's often that I make a production and then automatically, while I'm making the drum pocket, I've already came up with the chorus lyrically. I found this like already I found some melody to go with that. That's not the chord structure that I want to do on keys, or not like a guitar line, or not the bass line. Like I've already found this part. Like, and even on this project, Crawl is a perfect example of it, where as soon as we had the drum pocket and we had the dun dun dun, I already heard the Coco Gotcha. I already heard it. Like it took 2 seconds and I was in it. I was like already in the record. Right. So yeah, it's interesting. That's like a very interesting thing. I the longer that I had this projects in the vault, I think Crawl and Diamonds kind of crawled up to be my top favorites on it, in comparison to God, which I love in its own right, and Prayers Up, and Paper Girl, and Going Under. Like I love those 3 records, but the longer, and it seems even after this project has came out and I'm talking to people really love Crawl, people really love Diamonds, which is surprising to me and relieving in another way, because I didn't know how people would react to any of this stuff. So
do you think that those were the 2 songs that are the quote unquote like the risks that you took on this one? Do those 2 seem like, or do you think that there are no risks?
I don't even know if there are any risks. I think if any of them were a risk, Paper Girl felt like a risk.
Interesting.
Paper Girl felt like a risk, and
that was my favorite.
Yeah, and we can talk about that when we get to it.
That's I wanted to ask you about process, because you kind of bring it up, and you mentioned that like you started this project back in 2017. Well, it's coming out 5 years later. So that's a long time to work on an album. That's a long time to work on 5 songs. Yeah. So talk about your process through this. It had to be uncomfortable for you, taking so long to, figure out that you were going to do this.
Yeah, the thing is, like I said, I wouldn't even say that I wanted to have a lot of things established. There was a
fair enough
for mine that I was working at his studio at the time back in 2017. He had a previous version of the studio that I was working at
in Queens.
Yeah, in Queens, and I was going over to his studio and I was showing him this project, and he was obsessed with God. He was obsessed with Prayers Up. And I remember when I showed it to him, when I showed him this whole EP, he went, these 4 records from Crawl to Paper Girl sound like something that's supposed to be over there. Throw those away to another basket. God, we need to do a project that's just like God. And I went, I had records. I still have records that are sitting in a vault right now that are very similar to God. But I knew immediately that's not the single. Paper Girl is the single. That's what I argued to people. I was like, you don't understand, like, especially because Paper Girl was my most rawest, experimental idea of like, this is what I want my hip hop, R&B, musical theater, Lin-Manuel Miranda meets J. Cole and John Belly thing. Before I knew that, before I was able to go, hello, I'm Mr. Disney Dilla. Before I was able to do that, Paper Girl was that roadmap and blueprint. Yeah. And nobody would allow me or help me even to figure out turning at least Paper Girl into a single. Everybody would talk me out of it or say no or not give me the resources and help to figure out how to do it. Yeah. So it took until 2020 for me to do Paper Girl through People Say. Like when People Say came out, that all of a sudden opened a door where I was like, now I can do whatever I want, because the first thing that I put out, and it's not the first thing that I put out, but the first thing post Clive, post my professional development as a recording artist and musician, this first offering that I'm showing to you after my graduation, this is me. And now everything that comes after this, which for example was Hold It Down is like God. Now you get to understand I can do the mainstream hip hop thing, but I know I could easily do that. I could do the whole J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Drake, Bryson Tiller. I could go down that whole route for mad long. It's just that I'm not going to have as much fun taking you on that journey as I'll have fun taking you on stuff that's like Paper Girl, People Say, Paradox, For a Day. This brand new branch of genre with Mystic Blues. I want to go there. Yeah.
I would love to hear you. I would love to hear you on a Bryson Tiller vibe. I mean, that would be.
And those are coming. When I tell you those are coming, they can come now because.
But I think you had to make this one. I think you had to do this. I think you had to put Paper Girl out. I think you had to put Paper Girl out like more for yourself. It sounds like.
Yeah.
That was really a record for yourself. But we're not even there yet. Let's talk about Going Under, the interlude. Why is it an interlude?
It's an interlude because
it's a song. It's just because it feels like it just flows right.
It's kind of
it's a free really break anything up. It doesn't necessarily break anything up for me.
It doesn't have it's a very interesting thing. It's not a song that structurally has a chorus necessarily. Right. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end, kind of thematically.
The story does, sure.
But it's much more of a thought piece. And it's also interesting because when we talk about structure of this, like I said, so many people have tried to talk me in different directions. I always imagine that it's like God and Prayers Up. This is like, this whole EP for me is like vignettes. It's definitely vignettes of different people experiencing different sides of being lost.
If everybody didn't give you their opinion about your album, did you really put out an album? No.
I'm saying, like it took a long time, but we're here. Right. But yeah, like I always imagine God Prayers Up as this, really greedy, self-sufficient, independent thinker, but who's completely sinful and does not care. They're selfish. They don't care about anybody else. All this is mine, right? Yeah. And that being contrasted to someone who deep down in himself knows, all this like blase, superficial shit that I want in life really does not matter as much as my family does, really doesn't matter as much as maybe my girl or the person that I'm with does. Like, those things matter more than all of these random, like, way by side things that are going to go away 2 seconds from now that I'm trying to grab onto as if, all right, I'm going to take all this to my grave and nobody can have it after me. It's like, that's not really how they feel. They feel Prayers Up, but God is how they have to act because.
Is that why you put those two? Is that why you put those two in the?
Because I made God, Mikey. I made God, bro.
Tell me.
I made God, and immediately after that first part where it was done,
Yeah.
that was the single. It was like, all right, God. Last
Done.
chorus, done.
Done.
I remember I sat there and listened to the song for like 2 minutes, ran it back, I don't know how many times, and then went, nah, this isn't done. Because I couldn't stand that I just made this trap hip hop beggar and did not say anything that like was a message to myself of like, nah, this is really what, like, I didn't want that going out into the world. And there not being a side to that record where when someone really listened to it, they go, oh, this is really what the truth is. All this other stuff is like performance, and this is who you really are.
I like the yin yang of that song a lot. It's good.
Yeah, I appreciate
really
that.
good.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what I said, like, from that person to Crawl to someone who's far more poor, put under society and not cared about in any sort of way, and it's a tragedy, to, all right, well, this other person trying to find and go deeper under where Crawl is, to pull someone out of a dark ocean and abyss, to finally land on diamonds, where now you're back with the riches again, but it's like, but you don't have the thing that like the thing that actually matters to you, this person that actually matters to you. That's what you want. But everybody only cares about, oh, look at the fame, the fortune, look at the photos that we get to take of you. Ah! Like, all that is like what people want this person for, but they don't want that. They just want to be laid up somewhere with someone that they love and never leave the house. Like, so.
Yeah. Speaking of diamonds, can we hear a clip from, because Diamonds Diamonds has a beat to it, and we have to hear that part, and we have to hear Aaron on it too.
Yes.
I'm not one for diamonds, but
and my boy Amir can sing too.
Diamonds is
out of here with it. I feel like I'm walking up the street nice and funky this one. You know?
You are so awful.
Right? And then I feel attacked. That's what happened. You know, it started so nice.
Took my sorrows.
Now I feel like I'm a victim.
Sold them for better things. 'Cause you know I like the sunshine, nifty odds, pretty women. I'm too awkward sometimes. I cannot handle the way that they say that this world should work. I'd rather stay back at home where I'm safe to the worst occurs. But if you'd like the glory, I'm sorry I led you on to think that money was all I wanted. I'm not that heartless and guarded when I spend my time with you.
You know what? You're absolutely right. Now you're kind of taking me through this. Like, now that you're kind of taking me through this, you know, God, prayers up, Crawl, going under, you know, now you're literally telling us exactly this whole thing in Diamonds. You're literally saying, I don't want the money and the fame and all that. Like, you're like, I don't want those diamonds.
I don't care about that. Like, give them to me, sure. They're important, but they're not as important for me as they are for maybe giving them to other people to do better things with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I tell people this all the time.
Talk about that.
Pay me $1 million. Pay me $1 million. Please pay me $1 million. So that I can then turn around and put $1 million into my own neighborhood. So that drug violence stops. Like, gun violence stops. So that I don't have to be looking around the corner every 10 seconds like, are people in my neighborhood okay? Is my family all right? Like, that's why you're giving me $1 million. Because I'm going to take this art, blow it up, make it bigger. Oh, now give me another $1 million. I'm gonna just spotlight all these artists that y'all just skip on looking at every day. You walking past on the street and you don't care about all these incredible women of color, all these incredible Negro geniuses back in this hood, making incredible beats, making incredible statements for colleges abroad and here in the national states. Like, I want to be a millionaire, but believe me when I tell you that when I become a millionaire, I'm still going to be in this same house. Yeah. My grandmother and my father laid up happy. That's
happy.
Content. That's genuinely like, I'm not going. And even when I have my places and all these other spots in the world for convenience,
right,
you'll be here at home where I feel happiest and where I feel safe. Truly. That's always how I've been.
So those are the real diamonds.
Those are the real diamonds. Those are real diamonds. when my girl comes along and, you know, I get married and have a kid or kids, whatever.
Yeah.
Those are diamonds. Everything else is an add-on. And that's the stuff it's all going to come. And when it comes, there's going to be a lot of craziness around it of people chasing me down for it. And like, I get that. I completely understand it. But you're not going to see me unhappy because I'm going to be with the people that actually care about me, that I know love me, that I know I love. I don't want to be around anything that's going to be draining my energy 10 seconds out of the day. I wake up and immediately got problems. I don't want that. I just want to be calm and good. Like I said at the top of this, just calm and good. And if I have that, God willing, all the money, all the accolades, thank God for it, because I can just start passing. I can just start immediately. Thank you. Here come the Grammy. All right, let me go run back to the hood. Yo, where's my homies at? Let's go. Let's make the stuff that we always wanted to make because they giving us the spotlight. Like, that's all I want to do. That's all I want to do. I just want to change the world, change everybody's lives just 1 second at a time, one person at a time. That's all I'm trying to do. That's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah. You're on your way, man. You know, it's funny. Jack Harlow said in an interview, the best part about having money is that you never have to worry about money. And that's literally the best part about having money is that you don't, because it's such a big worry for so many people. It's such a daily concern and it drags people down so much. You know what I mean? So like the best perk about having money is that you never have to worry about it. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't know what that feels like, but it's it's got to be the truth, because you know what I mean? Like it is not going to make you happier. Just like the song Diamonds is all about. It really is. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's almost deceiving because the way you sing the song, like you're singing, I think you're singing in minor, right? Am I wrong? Are you in minor?
This is this is actually a funny story too, in terms of process. So right. Aaron doesn't physically appear on this record outside of the chorus. The chorus of this, I'm not one for diamonds. Diamonds is all I got. That is Aaron Kanata. Right. And then everything else, I like wrote the first verse and the pre-hook and like did all the production and everything. Right. But it's so funny to hear you talk about the minor thing, because originally when I came up with the melody for this, the record was minor. Yeah. I actually eventually in class there was a assignment where we were supposed to take something and like just rework an idea that happened in class, that not that we didn't like, but that, all right, you did something, you thought it was cool, see if you could try to top that idea. And I took the original idea that I had for Diamonds, which was completely in minor, and flipped it over the minor bed into E major. And that was how we have the version of minor of now that's in major.
So this is why I ask, because it's funny, you're singing about like the content of the song is kind of negative. Like it's more on the sadder side. But you're singing it in this major key. It's so deceiving.
And I do this all the time. This project, when I tell you this, like I said, this was 2017. Think about this historically. This was when I knew what I wanted to do with music for the rest of my life. Because Magnificent, my mixtape.
So you were trying to really get creative with it.
Yeah. I like tuned into it. Like this is when I finally, like all of the records on here were kind of my showcasing of what I love to do is write a song that sounds happy. And what the truth of it is, it's hey ya. We're all dancing. Right. Y'all don't really want to listen to the lyrics though, do you? That's cool. Right. But the message is still there. But y'all, pop record, everybody happy. And I remember in class, Josh said this in class, and it was the funniest thing for me because I was like, I never thought of it this way. He was like, yo, this is probably the best opening line to a record I've ever heard. You are so awful. And the thing is, what are you actually awful for? You are so awful. You are so awful. My breath away. You took my sorrows, terrible things, and turned them into better things. How is that a bad thing? But it is bad because the person that is in their head about it is like,
right.
Why'd you
with it?
Why'd you make me happy?
You know what's funny? It's because so it's in major, right? Because it sounds like, and don't take this the wrong way, because it sounds uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And like, I think that's part of what you were trying to do. That's what I was talking about earlier. Like, it's all coming around now, because these songs are like, they're not like a comfortable listen for me is a song that's easy to listen to. You can put it on in the background. You know what I mean? You can let it fly. Like there's a bunch of artists that make great music that I think is just comfortable to listen to. It's just easy. You know what I mean?
I want you to think.
It's not challenging.
I want you to think.
This is challenging music to listen to. but challenging is a good thing. You know what I mean? Because you're getting us to really talk about it. Like we're talking about, you know what I mean? Like not being able to buy happiness, but like it's kind of funny because, a lot of people think that you can.
Yeah.
And diamonds are one of those things that people associate with happiness, and yet you're singing like this sad song in a happy tone. It's very you're playing with us.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a romantic song. It's just about I just want to, be in a high-rise hotel room, presidential suite with the woman of my dreams dancing on a red velvet bed with roses all over the place, and candles and velvet cake.
Yeah.
Like
You thought this out.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, sure, but it's not the fact. The fact isn't, oh, we're in this huge luxurious space. It's actually that I'm with the person that I want to be with for the rest of my life. That's actually the most important thing here. And everything else is sad. It's like, yo, I had to sneak you in here. Okay, when we leave, I'm gonna have to sneak you out. There's gonna be cameras surrounding us when we walk out the building. Like, that's the sad part. And everything else that's in the room, it's like not even the stuff that's all luxurious is happening. It's just you. I just want you. Please.
I know. So that's kind of I don't know. So Diamonds is kind of that record on here. It does kind of tell that part of the story. But it makes sense of those first three songs a bit.
Yes.
Well, we would not be doing an interview about Stories of the Lost, Rich, and Tormented without talking about Paper Girls.
Yes.
Because this is another big one on there. And so I'm curious, is there a Paper Girl?
It's a great question.
Like, is that
during the time of me writing this? During the time of me writing this, yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're and it's.
Let me ask you something. So when you wrote this 2017, right? Paper Girl, there's somebody you're writing it about. Is it really hard to put that record out? Like, I don't know who the person was that you're writing it about. Shot in the dark question. Is it hard to put that song out so many years later? Does it reopen? I'm assuming it was a love relationship. Does it reopen the scab? So like, is that hard to do, or is it easy now? Does it almost like give you comfort?
It's interesting. I've had a lot of muses throughout my life, both male and female. And I've never shied away in my art from revealing myself, because for me it's just another part of history. I don't like writing people out of my history. I will tell you, and won't be on this call, but I could tell you personally over text or over the phone, these are the people that changed my life for better and worse. I could name them. I could tell you the day I met them, where I met them, and that never leaves my mind. I remember people from when I was 2 years old, all the great things they did to me, all the great things that we did together, places we went, times that we had. And then I remember the terrible people too, just as easily. I don't block any of it out. I've never been like that. Paper Girl was a record. This was a doubly heavy record because I think I'm fuzzy on, and I've been trying to work out what exactly happened, but either my grandfather, Robert Oliver Jr., and my grandmother, Martha Oliver, one of them got sick or injured. One of the two things happened. There was a bunch of different things that were happening between 2016 and 2017, but one of those two things happened, and we were going to the hospital. And on the way to the hospital, I made the production of Paper Girl. This is like 2016, late 2016, early 2017. The Writing the Hit Song class wasn't until the end of 2017. And I remember I was working on this beat, and then when I was sitting and writing the hit song, Aaron told us to write a song with motifs, and motifs in music are like da 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 da. You watch movies and you hear a character motif every time a character comes on screen. A specific thing comes out. But da 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 is all the way through the record, where there's the do 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 rhythmically. Whether it's melodically or rhythmically, I'm doing the same pace over and over and over again. Why? Because for me, this idea of this song was always a video game. It's like being trapped in a game, arcade token game where you have to put money into the coins and drop them in, or you die. And that's how you keep your one-ups going, because you got to just keep throwing money into the thing.
Pay to play.
Pay to play.
It's like a pay to play record.
And I remember, like I said, Aaron talked to us about that, and I was working on another record with Omito Beats from Toronto in Canada, and Omito. Ooh. I've had a great relationship with Omito. There's so many records that we have coming, and stuff that we had worked on over the years that never came out. That's finally.
Gotta do a listening session with the music you guys made together.
Hey man, bro, it's oh my gosh, because that's when we were talking about Killer Drake stuff. That's where start going off. But me and Omito had sent me some stuff, and there was this really great record I was working on, and I actually came up with the For What It's Worth. I think you heard me. I think that little
that's
catchy little thing I came up with that for his production. And then I think that same day I'm on the bus writing that, and then I heard the Paper Girl beat from a year back. Like all of a sudden my brain went all the way back there and went, yo, some of these rhythms are kind of the same. It's a very vibe. I was like, oh, okay. And then I came home, went on my computer, opened it up, and similar to people say, as soon as I opened up that beat, all the lyrics to the song came out in 30 minutes. Boom. This was a 30-minute first verse, pre-hook, hook, verse, pre-hook, hook, end the song.
It just flowed right out. It just flowed right out. Yeah.
30 minutes. Yeah,
it's funny because even like the lyrics in that song are motifs, because you have some, there's repetition of
where I say the same things over and over, and that's literally the whole, like I said, the whole idea of this record was being trapped in a video game. And what happens when you play a video game? You die over and over and over and over again until you find a perfect run. You do that Ford versus Ferrari thing where you get the perfect lap. Like you have to, but in order to do that, you have to fail too many millions of times for it to finally happen. And, especially in comparison to Diamonds, which I wrote Paper Girl before I did Diamonds. And it was interesting unconsciously to have Diamonds be this romantic record about, I have all these things and all I want is you.
Yeah.
And then have the complete opposite of that, where I have all these things and I don't want any of these things. I want you, but you don't want me back. And like, what does that feel like? And that was horrific, because to the point of who is Paper Girl, I mean, there's a bunch of different people that stay in life that like I still think about constantly, and I wonder about and where they are and what they're up to and if they're well, if they're with new people, are they good? But there was a specific person at the time that this whole record was just pointed at, like, I'm doing all this stuff I'm not even doing it for me, not even doing it for me anymore. Like it stopped being for me, all of this stuff of trying to be like my happiness. I get happy by making you happy. And if no matter what I do I can't make you happy, then it's like, so what's the point?
Yeah.
What is actually the point of
Might as well blow away in the wind like a paper girl.
You're giving me all this money. I'm getting all this money because of this. I'm getting all these accolades, and I'm trying to give it to you, but you don't want it. Then it's like, well, then what's the point of me? What's the point?
Yeah. Paper thin.
Paper thin. Yeah. Gone with the wind.
Amir, you are you have a lot going on up there. I love you, bro. This was a lot of fun to chat this through, and we'll have to do it again. I need a listening session with you and your boy from Toronto.
Yeah, I got you.
That's all I want.
I'll hit Mito up after this, actually.
Yeah, that's all I want.
We got top of 2023. We got some stuff. We got first.
I can't wait. Honestly, let's do this again. When you're ready and when those songs are coming out, let me know. I'd love to listen to them with you. This was a lot of fun. What's just kind of round it off. What's your favorite song off this project?
Hey, my favorite song on this project. Yeah. The more I listen to it, it's probably Diamonds.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say. I was gonna say, but I didn't want to say it out loud because I didn't want to interrupt that thought. I see you in deep thought thinking about that.
Because I just can't get over how much of a genius Aaron is. Like outside of me, like that, I love that record. I just every time I think about making that record, I'm like, yo, like. Very could not they gave me a chorus. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's great. It feels great. It feels
It really
great.
be like that. It really be like that, right?
And like I said, it maybe if you ask me in a couple weeks or a month from now, I might say Crawl. But it's between those two now. At this point in my life, when I was 2017, me would have been like Paper Girl. I hate God.
Yeah.
I don't hate God as much anymore.
Oh,
but
good.
I'm more of a fan of Prayers Up than God.
Good.
But you know, Diamonds is that's my
Yeah.
favorite record. If you're gonna listen to anything on here, you could skip everything. Please don't do it. I need the
We're not
stream.
gonna do that.
But
No,
but
we would never do that. We would
if
never
you
do that.
want to have my favorite record on here, it's Diamonds.
Here's my last question for you. Are you gonna do shows? You gonna tour it?
There's
Can you talk about that yet? Or you want? Okay, yeah.
There's plans for it. There's plans for it. I do plan to have some shows
Good.
here in New York City, DMV area, as
Good.
well as Los Angeles.
What time frame? Do you know yet?
It's looking like middle of the year, if not end of the year.
Okay.
There's
Well,
a lot of stuff
keep me
happening
posted on
top of the
those.
year. There's a
Keep me
lot of
posted.
stuff happening top of the year. I can tell you every month, look for me. 'Cause
Hey,
it'll be
well,
a different Amir every month.
we're gonna put the bat signal in the air for you. You know, we're gonna put the
I'll be
bat signal.
arriving. I'll be arriving
Coming,
from
everybody.
the shadows or from heaven. One of the two.
Right.
You'll
One of
see.
the two. Well, you might be coming from, from going up. You might be coming up.
Wherever
Listen,
it is.
Amir Royale, my homie. Thanks for joining me, man.
Thank you.
This has been really cool. Stories of the Lost, Rich and Tormented EP. Go stream that,
Please
everybody.
do.
It's good.
You
It's a
catch me
vibe.
on Instagram. You catch me on Facebook, Twitter, all under AmirRoyale.ent. You can go to my website, AmirRoyale.com, or if any of that don't make you happy, just Google me. Amir Royale.
Yeah.
AmirRoyale. And I'll be
He's
there
on
for
Google.
listening and watching, viewing pleasure.
He's on Google. I've been there. I looked at it.
You know,
I promise you. He's there.
it happens.
Amir, for your time. It's all love.
Thank you,
Thank
bro.
you again,
Love you,
as
Mike.
always.
Walk good. Take care.